right, everybody, get ready, because today we are diving into a topic that is, well, a little bit mind-bending, to be honest. Polyamory.
Mm.
We're going to really try to get to the bottom of it today and figure out what it actually means to, love multiple people at the same time.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where people tend to make a lot of assumptions, right? So let's
Mhm.
maybe just take a sec to define it first. When we use the word polyamory, we're talking about being in multiple relationships, obviously, but ones that are about actual emotional connection,
Yeah.
where everyone knows and consents.
So it's not just like an upgrade from a regular relationship, it's more than that.
Right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely more nuanced than that. And that actually helps, I think, with one of the biggest myths about polyamory, which is that it's all, drama and jealousy all the time.
Oh, right. Like it's just an excuse to have like a free pass for jealousy. But the stuff we looked at, it kind of paints a different picture. No.
Yeah, totally. What's interesting is that the polyamorous relationships that work well, they have the same, well, I guess, foundations as any strong relationship, right? Things like uh, good communication, trust, and then having
Like
boundaries.
setting those expectations right from the get-go.
Exactly. And being really upfront about your needs
Mm-hmm.
and then figuring all that out together.
Yeah. It really makes you think about how those skills, like being able to really communicate and being emotionally intelligent, are kind of like superpowers no matter what your relationship's like. Although I guess especially in polyamorous ones, huh? Which, speaking of, brings me to something else we saw in the research, this whole emotional, uh, well, roller coaster that comes with it, having to deal with jealousy and then balancing everyone's needs. That's got to be intense.
It is, for sure. It
Oh,
can be a lot to deal with, no question.
yeah.
But that's where that whole, emotional intelligence part comes in, right?
Yeah.
The research talked about some really cool strategies, actually, stuff that anyone can use, honestly.
Oh, like what?
Well, really actively listening to someone
Yeah.
and practicing nonviolent communication, if you heard of that. And even just making sure you're giving each partner, dedicated time.
Just being present with them.
Yeah, exactly. And those are all tools that are helpful for, well, everyone, really.
So it's almost like polyamory just like shines a big spotlight on how important all of that stuff is.
Totally. You hit the nail on the head. It's like this crash course in, I don't know, emotional maturity or something, but on a whole other level. It makes you be really self-aware, right?
Yeah.
Like you're paying attention to your own emotions and everyone else's at the same time.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a lot. And I imagine it's all happening while maybe society isn't really getting what you're doing, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. Polyamory really challenges a lot of those deep-seated societal ideas we have about love and commitment and what a normal relationship is supposed to look like.
Yeah, it's like not only are you trying to make this whole relationship thing work, but like then you've got all those outside pressures, too. Kind of exhausting, honestly. But I don't know, wasn't there also like an upside? I feel like the research talked about some good stuff too, right? About how polyamory can be beneficial.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, one of the things that stood out to me most was how much, well, emotional support people in these relationships said they got. You know,
Oh, right.
it kind of makes sense if you have multiple partners. You also have multiple people to go to for support, more people to talk to bounce ideas off of.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's like a built-in support system or something.
Right. Exactly. And you know what? There's that one story, I think it was in the listener stories part, about that couple who were going through a really, really rough time with, I think it was a family issue.
Oh, yeah, I think I remember that one.
And they were saying that because they had this polyamorous relationship structure,
Yeah.
they had all this extra support from their other partners to help them get through it. Way more than they think they would have had otherwise with, just the two of them.
Wow, that's actually incredible. It really shows you how, like, these kinds of relationships can create this whole network of support that you just, I don't know, maybe you just don't get in the traditional monogamous setup. And wasn't there something else, too, about personal growth?
Oh, yeah, totally. When you're constantly navigating all these different relationships, all the needs and stuff,
Right.
it really forces you to look inward, you know?
You have to be self-aware.
Exactly. And you got to get real
Mm-hmm.
about your own assumptions about what love is and jealousy and what you think a relationship should be.
It's almost like a crash course in communication and all the emotional stuff, isn't it?
Totally. That's exactly what the research said, actually. People in polyamorous relationships often end up with way better communication skills because they have to. They learn to set boundaries, and they're generally more in touch with what they want and need, both for themselves and from their partners, which honestly, those are useful skills no matter what kind of relationship you're in, right?
Totally. Oh, man. And it really challenges that whole idea that, like, one person is supposed to meet all your needs, you know? Polyamory kind of says, nah, it's cool to have different people who fulfill you in different ways.
It really is a completely different way of thinking, isn't it? It's acknowledging that, like, different people can meet those different needs. And that doesn't mean anything is wrong or missing. It's almost like instead of being scared of how complex human connection can be, polyamory is like saying, bring on the complexity.
Yeah, it is. It's so true. Like, our whole culture is obsessed with finding the one, you know?
Yeah.
But then polyamory comes along and is like, hold on, maybe it's not about finding that one perfect puzzle piece at all. Maybe it's about looking at the whole picture with all its different colors and textures and appreciating that.
Uh,
Wow, this has been really eye-opening, honestly. It makes you think about how there isn't just like one way to do love and relationships, you know?
right. And that's kind of what's so cool about polyamory. It really makes you examine all those assumptions about, well, everything. Communication,
Yeah.
being aware of your emotions, what society expects.
Totally. But I don't know, for me, it keeps coming back to that emotional intelligence thing. Like, if anything, what we learn just shows that being polyamorous isn't about like looking for drama or trying to get out of commitment. If anything, it's the opposite.
100%. It takes real maturity, I think, to handle all those feelings in a healthy way, you know?
Yeah, for sure. And you have to be so honest, not just with your partners, but with yourself too, right? About
Yeah,
what you need and what you want.
exactly. And honestly, that's good advice for any relationship, right? Romantic, friendship, even at work, it's all about understanding yourself and the people around you, on a deeper level.
Totally. And that's why I think it's been so interesting to look at all these different ways of doing relationships, even if, I don't know, maybe it's not for everyone or even for us personally, but it makes you question things, you
Yeah,
know? Like, what does a relationship have to look like? And can we define love and commitment in our own way?
absolutely. And so I guess as we're wrapping up here, it kind of makes me wonder, like, let's just say for a second that there weren't all these societal expectations about love and relationships and all that. What would be your ideal way to experience all that connection? Like, just totally honestly.
Ooh, that is a big question. It's definitely something to think about, but I like it. It makes you get rid of all those old ideas in your head and imagine something totally new.
Right.
Well, on that note, we are going to let you go ponder all that. Until next time, everybody, keep asking questions and keep diving deep.